As the young man stumbled and fell, the unusual display quickly caught the attention of nearby pedestrians. A curious crowd began to gather around Shiro's booth, watching intently as he demonstrated the matches once more. Their faces lit up with astonishment, their reactions ranging from disbelief to excitement. They couldn't fathom how striking a small stick against a piece of paper could produce fire. Shiro invited everyone to try it themselves, aiming to draw even more attention to his booth. From his thorough market exploration the previous day, he had realized that the locals had never seen matches before, and likely, neither had anyone in this world. Seizing this opportunity, Shiro swiftly returned to his world to stock up on more matchboxes to sell. From the elderly to young adventurers, no one had ever encountered these magical items before. In their world, starting a fire with dry wood was manageable but time-consuming. These matches, however, seemed like powerful magical artifacts. Amidst a landscape of constant challenges and fears, especially without wizards, the sense of camaraderie was palpable. It was the perfect time to set a price. Shiro confidently began his sales pitch to the bustling crowd. The young man who had stumbled earlier asked about the price, with everyone anxiously awaiting Shiro's response. Shiro jokingly asked the young man how much he thought it should cost. The young man guessed 80 coins. Smiling, Shiro knew he had two pricing options in this world. First, he could sell the matches as luxury items at sky-high prices, or second, he could sell them cheaper and profit based on volume. The first option would yield high profits per transaction but limit the number of buyers. The second option would attract a larger customer base but with lower profit per sale. Opting for the latter, Shiro announced loudly that each box contained 40 matches and, as a special opening day offer, they would sell for just 5 coins per box. The crowd fell silent for 3 seconds before erupting into a frenzy, pushing and shoving to buy the matches in bulk. By the end of the day, Shiro had sold out to 100 customers. Exhausted, he lay on the ground, wondering how he'd handle even more customers the next day. Without wasting any time, he packed up and went to find Anna. Anna was struggling with her flower sales, disappointed that her beautiful blooms weren't attracting much interest. Her mood brightened instantly when she heard Shiro calling her name. When he asked about her sales, she couldn't hold back her tears of frustration. Shiro quickly took her hand, pulled her close, and suggested she help him at his booth the next day, offering to pay her for her work. Anna was initially shocked by the offer, but her confusion soon turned to joy, and she eagerly accepted, grateful for the opportunity. Shiro anticipated a busy day ahead and thanked the young girl warmly before they parted ways. After ensuring Anna had left, Shiro slipped away to a hidden spot where he accessed a spatial portal connected to his wardrobe at home. His clueless dog in the backyard barked as Shiro vanished through the portal, which he could summon with a mere thought. Once back in his room, Shiro counted his earnings, converting the local currency into Japanese yen using his equal exchange skill. To his amazement, his earnings from just an hour of sales equaled a month's salary at his old job. Excited by the thought, he realized that if this continued, he might soon live comfortably without working another day in his life. Determined to achieve this dream, Shiro headed to the supermarket to buy more matchboxes. He hadn't noticed before, but now he found weather-resistant matches that could withstand wind and water. Quickly filling his shopping cart, he headed to the cashier, who nervously asked if he planned to start a fire with such a large purchase. Meanwhile, Shiro struggled with the weight of his heavy shopping bags, finding them cumbersome and tiring. Then he remembered he had another skill. Setting his bags down, he focused his mind, and a new space materialized. Shiro recognized it as his personal storage dimension. He started tossing all the matchboxes into this bottomless space. Previously, he struggled to fit all the matches into his backpack. But with such a large quantity, one backpack wouldn't suffice. Luckily, he had this vast three-dimensional space at his disposal. Not only did this storage space hold everything, but it also displayed information about each item within it, leaving Shiro amazed at its power. He began to believe strongly in a future where he could become rich without worrying about basic needs. On his way home from the supermarket, a mother and her child noticed Shiro's jubilant demeanor. The innocent child pointed at him, telling his mother about the strange man talking to himself. Hearing this comment, Shiro blushed, quickly closed his mouth, and hurried home. In two different worlds, both Shiro and Anna left their homes and headed to the same location. When they arrived, they found a large crowd already gathered on the street. Shiro was concerned as he set up his booth, worried that the massive number of customers might cause trouble for neighboring shops. While he was lost in thought, the owner of a nearby grilled meat stand called out to him. The man had heard about the powerful item known as a matchbox and wanted to see the seller in person. To Shiro's surprise, it was him. Seeing Shiro struggle with the crowd, a woman next to the stand owner offered Shiro a spot on the outskirts of the city, even proposing that it be free for the day. Shiro was delighted with this offer, realizing that moving to a new location would not affect the surrounding stalls. He and Anna gratefully thanked the two people in front of them. Curious about the woman's identity, the owner introduced her as his sister. Although they looked nothing alike, Shiro appreciated the help. At the new booth location, Shiro and Anna got busy setting up their items. They developed their own signs for smoother operations, labeling small matchboxes, large ones, and a different type for survival matchboxes. Finally, the time came to open up shop. A line of customers stretched endlessly, like the path to one's true love. As they officially began selling, both Shiro and Anna were incredibly busy. Anna, being short, struggled to reach the items quickly, while Shiro handled customer interactions and advice. Despite working tirelessly, Anna felt a strong sense of joy in her task. The matchboxes sold like hotcakes, their numbers dwindling quickly until, as expected, they sold out. Some customers left disappointed, but the grilled meat stand owner and his sister were thrilled to have helped Shiro with his sales. In just 3 hours, Shiro had earned 1.5 million coins, equivalent to 500,000 yen per hour, double what he had made the previous day. Gazing at the vast amount of money, Shiro felt dizzy with excitement, like a millionaire. He packed all the coins into a bag and then into his storage space. Taking a portion, he handed it to Anna as her day's wage. Sitting down, Shiro gently patted Anna's head and suggested she use the money to buy something nice for herself and her mother, acknowledging her crucial help that day. Anna's face lit up with gratitude as she thanked Shiro profusely. Her thanks were so effusive that Shiro had to gently place his finger on her lips to quiet her. Suddenly remembering something, Shiro opened his backpack and pulled out 2 sandwiches, handing one to Anna. They hadn't eaten all day. Seeing the food, Anna eagerly took a bite, her eyes sparkling with delight. It was her first time tasting a white bread sandwich, and she found the taste to be exceptional. As they enjoyed their meal, a woman approached them and stood before Shiro. She introduced herself as Karen Sankara, the mayor of the town. Shiro thought she wanted to buy some matchboxes and mentioned that they were sold out for the day. However, Karen clarified that she wasn't there to buy matches but to meet him, the famous matchbox seller. Shiro was taken aback to find that Mayor Nina Rich was a beautiful woman, far from the gruff and tough man he had imagined. She greeted Shiro with elegance, expressing how honored and fortunate the town was to have a merchant of his caliber among them. Seeing Shiro's simple reaction, Karen continued, explaining that the town was in a remote location and burdened by stubborn traders who believed they should bear heavy responsibilities, often resulting in them selling goods at exorbitant prices. In contrast, the products sold by Karen's group were priced so low that their finances never improved. No one seemed capable of resolving this issue until Karen intervened with the idea of establishing a marketplace in town. She saw Shiro's assistance as crucial for this project. Without giving him time to be astonished, Karen handed him a key from her pocket. Anna, witnessing this, exclaimed that the mayor might want to live with Shiro or even marry him, leaving Shiro speechless. Karen quickly clarified that it wasn't about seeking a life partner but about wanting to collaborate with Shiro. The key opened a vacant house nearby, and she proposed that he set up shop on the first floor. Karen mentioned that some local traders had complained about the large crowds resembling a busy market, which they didn't appreciate. Shiro fell silent, realizing the challenge his business might face under the current circumstances. Karen then took them to see the house. After a thorough tour, both Shiro and Anna liked the new space. Shiro decided to open his store there the next day. As Karen was about to leave, she had one more question. Anna whispered to Shiro, guessing the mayor might ask if she was engaged to Shiro, misunderstanding the situation. To clear up any confusion, Karen quickly interjected, explaining she wasn't interested in such matters. She only wanted to know why a skilled merchant like Shiro would choose to trade in a small town with a population of about 500 when he could potentially do better in a busier location. Contrary to her expectations, Shiro simply replied that he liked it there. Even though he had only been in the town for 3 days, Shiro had already met many wonderful people. The kind-hearted barbecue stall owner, the hard-working Anna, and a mayor who treated strangers with incredible kindness. These reasons were more than enough for Shiro to fall in love with the town. Karen, deeply moved by Shiro's words, was brought to tears. The three of them shook hands joyfully, confident that their collaboration would strengthen the town. In just 3 days, the match seller had secured his shop and signed a 1-month contract for a space in the town square. He began working immediately. 5 days later, his match sales reached record highs, and he had nothing left to sell. Shiro and Anna apologized to the late-arriving customers, assuring them that he had thought he'd stocked enough matches for everyone in town, but the demand remained high. After tidying up the stall, Shiro suggested Anna take a break. He brought tea and snacks to her room, only to find her fast asleep. He set the tray on the table quietly, but the slight noise stirred the sleepy 8-year-old. Thinking Shiro was her father, she hurriedly hugged him and fell asleep on his shoulder. Shiro, reluctant yet tender, carried the exhausted child back to bed and tucked her in. It had been a challenging day for them both. On the 5th day, customers had to return early in the morning due to a lack of stock. Shiro longed for a day off, feeling utterly exhausted. Just then, Karen entered and mentioned that a committee from the capital would soon be visiting to discuss the possibility of officially establishing a branch. She asked Shiro to demonstrate his matches to the visiting officials to help strengthen Niner's position. Shiro agreed to Karen's request. Karen, noting this, remarked that it was the first time she had seen such items and asked where he got them. Shiro hesitated, not fully revealing the source, and Karen didn't press further. She noted that if Shiro was the sole seller of these matches, it would attract significant attention from the committee members. She implied that using the matches to draw their attention could, in turn, attract more people to Niner Rich. This would encourage other merchants to invest more in developing local resources. Shiro, holding the box of matches, thought it might indeed be a successful endeavor. He considered adding new and interesting items to diversify his merchandise but couldn't decide what those might be just yet. The next afternoon, the shop closed early again as all the products were sold out. Sitting in his chair, Shiro racked his brain, trying to find a way to impress the committee supervisors. He decided to visit Karen briefly and asked Anna to stay and watch the shop in the meantime. Karen heard that Shiro had sold out early again and joked that he was truly a skilled merchant. Shiro, not entirely in agreement, mentioned that the amount of merchandise he sold was 5 times the town's population. He also heard rumors that some people were reselling his matchboxes at exorbitant prices elsewhere. With this spreading trend, Shiro suggested they limit the number of items sold. Karen then brought up something she wanted to discuss, and they went upstairs to continue the conversation in detail. Sitting down, Karen asked if he knew about an adventurers' guild in town called Silver Moon. To her surprise, Shiro was quite familiar with them, knowing many of his customers were adventurers from the guild. The guild functioned as a trading intermediary, receiving requests from clients and passing them on to adventurers. Their tasks ranged from monster extermination to gathering herbs and mushrooms. Karen continued, explaining that Silver Moon was the only adventurers' guild in town, led by a charismatic guild master named Gilmaz. However, Gilmas had fled the town the previous night, leaving the guild in disarray and without funds to sustain it. The adventurers were preparing to leave the town, taking their funds with them. This posed a significant problem for the small, underdeveloped town, as the collapse of the guild would further hinder its progress. As the mayor, Karen was understandably concerned. She had prepared a strategy before talking to Shiro. She revealed that the main adventurers guild from the capital wanted to establish a branch in her town, which could offer a solution to their difficulties. Until now, Karen had always rejected this proposal, considering the Silver Moon Guild, but with the current situation, she decided to accept the offer. Shiro fully supported this decision, recognizing the critical role the guild played in the community. Therefore, the adventurers' new proposal seemed perfectly fitting in this context. Shiro informed Karen of his desire to become an adventurer, seeking her advice on the matter. Karen, stunned, asked if he was truly serious. Shiro believed that joining the guild was the best way to understand what adventurers needed. Karen warned him about the dangers, noting that the only place to venture was the perilous eastern forest. Shiro acknowledged this but clarified that he intended to focus on gathering herbs and minerals, which were less hazardous. Relieved, Karen admitted that her relationship with the Silver Moon Guild had been strained. The previous night, the guild leader had approached her, red-faced and tearful, begging for a loan. Shiro was shocked by this frank admission and inquired about the amount needed. Karen revealed that the guild had asked for 10 gold coins, equivalent to 10 million yen in Japan, an impossible sum to gather in their remote location. Consequently, Karen had refused the request, freezing their relationship with the guild. She wrote a letter of introduction for Shiro, though she doubted its effectiveness. Shiro then headed directly to the Silver Moon Guild, located in the eastern part of town. Standing at the entrance, Shiro felt a wave of nervousness. He wondered if he would be rebuffed or intimidated as a newcomer. Gathering his courage, Shiro opened the door and greeted everyone loudly. To his surprise, the place was completely empty. Confused, he heard distant sobbing and followed the sound. Approaching the source, he found a girl with an attractive yet seemingly quiet demeanor. Shiro was taken aback to find someone there. The girl's demeanor turned aggressive as she shouted that if Shiro dared to step any closer, she would summon thousands of fierce Silver Moon warriors to tear him apart. Shiro, skeptical, mumbled that there didn't seem to be anyone else around to hear her. The girl pouted and yelled that she alone was enough to destroy him, boasting that her thunderous punch could shatter a stone, let alone a weak human like Shiro. Rolling his eyes at her theatrics, Shiro gently inquired about the guild's whereabouts, emphasizing the importance of the information and expressing his hope to meet the guild leader. The girl looked stunned for a moment but then agreed, suddenly pointing to herself and declaring that she was the acting leader of the guild. Now it was Shiro's turn to be shocked, exclaiming loudly in surprise. Shiro met a cat-eared girl named Emile, who happens to be the acting president of the Silver Moon Society. Oddly enough, there are no other staff members around, and the whereabouts of another young girl, who was part of the society, remain unknown ever since the previous president vanished. Shiro and Emile ended up chatting for 5 straight hours, during which Emile guzzled liquor like it was water and swore in multiple languages at those who had abandoned the society. Sensing an opportunity, Shiro handed Emile a letter of introduction from the mayor. This made Emile furious, and she angrily asked if Shiro was referring to that big-breasted, small-brained woman. Surprised, Shiro chuckled and gently corrected her, saying he meant Karen-san, the mayor of Kaya Nino City. Emile sneered, remarking that all the nutrition the mayor consumed seemed to go to her chest rather than her brain, and called her the rudest person she had ever met. She then tore up the letter in a rage, declaring that the mayor who abandoned the Silver Moon Society to promote another guild was a vile, inhumane person. Elsewhere, Mayor Karen sneezed, sensing someone was talking badly about her. Emile then lamented how she had begged Karen for a loan of 10 coins, only to be rejected. Shiro tried to comfort her, explaining that 10 gold coins are a substantial amount and difficult to come by quickly, and besides, Karen had her own concerns. Before Shiro could finish, Emile accused him of defending Karen, assuming they were close friends. She was shocked by the turn of events, realizing that without the money, the society would inevitably shut down. Exhausted, Emile fainted to the floor. Shiro pulled a tissue from his pocket and handed it to her. After a moment of thought, he mentioned that he had the authority to assign missions to the Silver Moon Society and needed her help. Emile, regaining her composure, sat up and took a pen, ready to make a special arrangement. If Shiro wanted to join, he would require a special escort, something unprecedented. Emile could only think of one competent team for the job, the 4-member group known as Azure Sky, whose services came at a steep price.